Chapter 18, Slight Victory. Author's note: okay, next one up. Spent the whole night on it. Hope you all like it. By the way, I have to confess, I am kinda mushy at times tongue, so bear with me. I added something I won't mind being the receiver of on most occasion. Giggle. Comments: Lone Angel 1992. Thank you so much, that was very sweet of you. It made me loads better. D. Dan. Sorry Dan, the whole reason I started writing is to be able to put down my fantasies in paper, or sort of paper. Don't worry, I will warn you of the parts you don't like if you can send me a review or list telling me what you don't want to read. Okay? I like Hermione too. Yeah. Tongue. As for Malfoy, I want to, but I am still planning, having a bit of problem in squeezing him in. I don't want to end up with too many characters. Mama Lisa, oh dear, I am so sorry for replying your message so late. Yes, please. It would be lovely. I would greatly appreciate all the help you are willing to provide. Poison Rose. Thank you. I will do my best. Chapter 18, Slight Victory. Gryffindor has the quaffle. Nope. Back to Slytherin and a broken bar. Bang by the bludger. Good shot from a Weasley. Back to chase a Puxy. Get him Katie. And oh no, not good! And Slytherin score as a broken bar. Lee Jordan said sadly. A collection of groans came from the entire crowd as the little group of students in silver and green started cheering and screaming in delight. Harry Potter was drifting below the clouds, watching the game from above. Silently, he groaned along the crowd. They were winning by 30 points. With the score 60-30. Even so, there is no point encouraging the Slytherins to play harder, right? Sweat was dripping down his brow and his glasses are starting to slide down his nose. Harry pout. Why did they pick such a hot day to play in? Harry grumbled. The sun was behind and the hot rays were beating down on his back. So far, the Slytherin beaters have not found him. Oliver's tactic was working. With Harry's back facing the sun, it makes it hard for any person to see him at all, especially at the high altitude he is at. At the same time, he is able to observe the game quite safely and clearly at that distance. Harry gave another small sigh and scanned the pitch for the 28th time. The snitch had disappeared as soon as it was released, and so far, not a sight of it had been seen. It was getting way too hot for Harry under the thick Quidditch robes, and he was starting to feel a little moody, with being not used to the robes and all. Wham! That's got to hurt. Bludger straight in the gut for Captain Wood. Hope's he alright? Quaffle now with Angelina. She's streaking down the pitch, intercepted by Chaser Puxy and a broken bar. Is that the snitch? Harry's ears perked up and his mood lifted as he looks downwards. A glint of gold at the far side of the pitch caught his eye. Without thinking, Harry dashed forward on his broom. The Nimbus 2000 the school had gifted to him was marvelous as he streaked down the pitch. Swiftly, a small round black shape streaked past in front of him. Harry gave a yelp in fright, and brake, causing his broom to start spinning forwards, head over heels. His heart was thudding in his chest and felt the air current flapping through his ropes. Oh no, it looks like the Gryffindor Seeker is in trouble. Finally, Harry yanked hardly with his broom upwards and flew upwards and crashed into something solid. Harry felt his hand slipping as something seemed to be pulling him upwards. He landed with a oof on his shoulders and flipped around gently, before lying flat on the Quidditch ground. He had flown upside down in the wrong direction. Gently, Harry lifted himself off and instantly regretted it. The world seemed to be spinning wildly and he felt a little sick. Shivering at his nausea, he barely heard Lee Jordan, the commenter, blabbering away and concerned as a whistle was blown. Harry sat there quietly with his eyes closed for a few minutes, willing the dizziness away. Suddenly, he felt something landed with a thud a few feet away. He opened his eyes and looked into pale green eyes. Oliver was peering at him in concern. Madam Hooch, their flying instructor and temporary referee, was standing beside him. You alright? Oliver asked with a furrowed brow. Give me a minute. A broken bar. Dizzy? A broken bar? Oliver's face lit up with understanding and gave him a grin. He patted him lightly and Harry groaned at the sudden movement. After a short while, he lifted his hand to Oliver and pouted. Oliver burst out laughing and dragged him up. The crowd seemed to let out a collective sigh when they saw Harry stood up, albeit a little wobbly. Harry got onto his broom and kicked off. From the corner of his eyelids, he saw Wood and Madam Hooch did the same. At the same time, Madam Hooch blew her whistle to signal the game to continue. Harry had barely reached the top of the goalpost when he saw another bludger coming towards him. Harry gave a small groan and was just about to dodge it when a flash of red, slight gold, red and more red dropped down in front of him and with a smack, sent the bludger flying into a different direction, causing a Slytherin chaser who was currently holding the quaffle to dodge and dropped the quaffle. Fred Weasley, or was it George? Harry could not tell at such short notice, turned around and grinned at him. "All right there, Harry?" Harry nodded. The Weasleys grinned broad. "Best get back to the sun. Safer there." With the said, he sped off to smack another bludger that was going towards Wood. Harry quickly took his advice and headed upwards towards the sun. It was then he spotted a flash of gold. This time, he spun around and scanned the field. The Slytherin seeker was at the Slytherin end, looking at the opposite direction. With glee, Harry urged his broom forwards and flew towards the flash of gold that was nearest to the lake where thick bushes and trees have sprung up in who knows how many years. And if I am not mistaken, Potter has seen the snitch. Harry facepalmed himself mentally. There goes stealth, he thought viciously. All the players and spectators seemed to suddenly focus on him as Harry flew towards the trees. The Slytherin beaters panicked and quickly swung their bats, aiming the bludgers at Harry. At the same time, the Slytherin seeker zipped towards Harry. Harry turned his head and saw the bludgers flying at high speed towards his back. Scared, Harry swung upwards and avoided the first one. "Where's the sake of broken bar?" Before Harry could finish his train of thought, he felt something solid crashed into his broom end. Not again, Harry thought, as this time the impulsive force caused him to spin in circles as he clung to the broom tightly. By then, the Slytherin seeker had arrived and swooped past spinning Harry. The Slytherins cheered when they saw their seeker dive towards a huge bushy tree with an arm outstretched. The snitch was zipping left and right in front of the tree, glinting in the sunlight, obvious not that everyone knew where to look. Just as the Slytherin seeker was about to pluck the snitch from midair, a black shadow burst out of the tree in front of him and released a fierce bark. The Slytherin seeker gave a yell of fright and pulled backwards. The sudden swerve caused him to slip and fell off the broom as the black shape disappeared back into the leaves. The spectators all yelled in horror. Harry himself got a fright by the commotion and slipped off the broom. The screams from the spectator got louder as Harry felt himself plunge downwards and started flailing about. His hands caught something and he pulled it to him and hung on to it tightly. Suddenly, he felt a hard jerk run through his right hand and closed his eyes tightly as he felt himself swinging left and right in the air, waiting for the ground to greet him. After a short while, he peeped slowly and looked up. He was startled to see himself hanging onto his broom by one hand as the broom parked itself in midair, parallel to the ground. He felt something wriggling in his left hand and looked down. To his surprise, the golden snitch was struggling feebly in his hands. In delight, Harry lifted his hand and yelled, "I got the snitch! I got the snitch!" The entire game ended in total confusion. When Harry Potter entered the Gryffindor common room, he was greeted by cheers and yells. There were a few bangs and streamers started falling down from the top of the Gryffindor entrance. Before Harry could comprehend the entire situation, he was grabbed by multiple hands and pulled into the common room. Everyone wanted to shake his hands. The Weasley twins squashed him in between a hug and Oliver twirled him around in the air. Ron, Dean and Seamus were shouting at the top of their voices, "We won the house cup." The party was on at full swing. There was food and candy for everyone. Apparently, Fred and George know the way to the school kitchens, Chaser Katie Bell had explained. There was butterbeer for everyone. Harry was hesitant to try it at first. The Dursley had always complained about drunks running around Privet Drive and the nuisance there to the neighborhood, like parasites, Uncle Vernon had once said. Finally, the sweet scent of butter and curiosity had drawn him in, even though he insisted to anyone that listened that he is just too thirsty and there is nothing else to drink. The party went on and Harry was starting to lose feelings in his hands and his back and shoulders are starting to feel sore. People kept on slapping or petting him there in delight and everyone insisted to shake his hands, at least 5 times, each side. He felt that if another person shakes it, it is going to fall off. At the same time, people that were awed by his amazing flying skills are planning to call him the Spinning Potter and all sorts. It was funny at first but it gets tiring after a while. Finally, Harry yawned. He could not help it. It was a really tiring day and he thinks his brain waves are still spinning the wrong direction with all the twirling he did on the pitch today. He gave a slight yelp of surprise when a pair of muscular arms suddenly put themselves around his stomach. He was pulled backwards and landed backwards onto a soft warm body. Surprised, he tilted his head upwards and saw twinkling pale green eyes staring back at him. Oliver smiled. "You did good, Harry. You are going to be a wonderful addition to our team." Harry hummed and just cuddled into his embrace. Oliver chuckled. "You are tired. Go to bed. You had a long day." With a gentle push, Oliver pushed Harry off his lap and laughed when Harry pouted at him, upset at losing his warmth. Harry sighed and bid Oliver good night. Looking around, he saw Hermione listening to Lavender Brown and Parvati Patil talking and Ron was roaring over something with Dean Thomas and Seamus. Quietly, he padded over and wished them good night. After that, he plodded silently up the staircase to the boys' dormitory. In his bedroom, Harry quickly switched out from his robes into comfy pajamas and stretch. He moaned in pleasure when the kinks in his body pop. He turned around and was just about to get into bed when we saw something coiled above his blankets, wearing what looked like a smug smile on its face. Harry raised his eyebrow. "What?" "Oh, nothing. What did it feel like winning?" "Scree. I thought I was going to get hurt." "True. That's what I thought too. Why else would I have helped, huh?" Harry blinked owlishly at Madara, whose grin seemed to grow in a weird sort of way. Then, it struck Harry. "Oh, the black thing, a broken bar? You mean a broken bar that was a broken bar?" Madara. "What?" the snake asked innocently. "You cheated." "How could you? How did you do it anyway?" "No one cheated. I aren't in the game, am I? Furthermore, you didn't know anything after all." "Then, how a broken bar?" "Simple. Nidalon helped." It was very easy to convince him to help. "We were watching you from that tree," the snake said proudly. At that, the little barking owl that was hiding just out of sight on the windowsill gave a slight hoot and flew onto Harry's shoulder. It rubbed its little furry body against Harry's cheek. Harry's heart melted. "Fine, but don't do that again. It's cheating. Not fair." The black serpent just shrugged and coiled towards Harry's pillow. Harry glared at its silent back and sighed. "Fine. Just don't do any damage." The snake turned back and looked at Harry. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Chapter 19. Meanwhile, author's notes. Hi everyone. Sorry I am gone so long. Why? You ask. Tell you at the end of the story and you might like it. Furthermore, it has come to my attention that my Harry might have a little character problem. Well, there are two reasons. First is Harry is new to the magical world and therefore this makes him more passive than he actually can be. Second, I think I accidentally merged my personality into him by mistake, so sorry about that. I will rectify this problem also. By the way, anyone kind enough to give me J.K. Rowling's original series school year schedule? You know, like major public holiday and school from what day to what day. My school timetable in Malaysia is different and it is starting to confuse me a little. Oh yay. You all flooded my inbox till 3:33. This will take a while. Tongue. Questions answers. M7L. Thanks for pointing out my mistake. As for the lake part, well, put it this way. Harry is 10 and he has no idea where he is. The lake is cold black and who knows how deep. The students are also only in a small defenseless boat. Besides, never said Harry could swim. Oh, and I will warn you if there are / in the far future. :D::O. Thanks a lot. Maybe you can help with my timetable issue. Please. Fallen Hope Angel. Not telling you. Tongue will spoil the story. Dark God Naruto. Giggle. Cause I don't know Japanese. Tongue. Saturn Blue. Your review must be one of my favorite. Tongue. I wish Harry can have a harem too and so do I. Tongue. Poison Rose. Point taken. My bad. I will have to brainstorm to fix that part. Thanks. Poison Rose. Yeah. It is a different species altogether. Give me a while. I will have to find a pic. Poison Rose. Lol. You gave me a fright cause I didn't remember writing a song. It wasn't a song, more like an announcement from the hat. Moreover, I just took scraps from the original song and wrote it here so I know it is not good at all. Sorry. Taboo 22. Giggle. Thanks. But English is actually my third language. Tongue. Dark Light or Alpha. Yes. I understand. I will do that when there is / This story won't have any / I was warning everyone about the future sequels that follow this non / fic. Geeky. Yeah. Considering Dumbledore always said love is Harry's greatest weapon, I wonder why Hufflepuff is discriminated against. As for his meekness, please refer to the top in my bat. So sorry, Geeky. Okay, all points noted. Thank you, but I think the Quidditch part is more of a tradition and I needed a way to bring Wood in. Tongue. Chapter 19, Meanwhile Broken Bar. The next morning, Harry was rudely awakened by a hand shaking him insistently. Yawning and rubbing his bleary eyes, he looked up and was startled to see a grinning Oliver Wood. Morning, Harry. Come on, get up. Quidditch practice in half an hour. Glancing at the clock, Harry just stared at him with wide eyes. But we just won Slytherin a broken bar, and we still have not played Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw, interrupted Oliver smoothly. Seeing Harry about to protest, Oliver raised a hand to stop him. We are not going to overconfident. Just because they aren't as strong as Slytherin doesn't mean we won't lose to them. Now that we are all that closer to the House Cup, we are going to practice even harder than before. Boot to broken bar, boot to broken bar, stuttered poor Harry, unable to think up a smart retort in his befuddled state. But nothing, Harry. It is Saturday. There are no classes. The rest of the team is already up. If you are not down in half an hour, I will forcibly drag you down, after dousing you in cold water. At that, Oliver gave him a smile and left without another word. Harry glanced at his warm and inviting bed and scowled. With that, he reluctantly went to wash up and get dressed. When he got down the common room, he was greeted with the rest of his teammates who were shuffling around like zombie. All of them were bleary-eyed and groaning, worse off than Harry considering Harry went to bed early. He even heard the word mutiny and get back from the Weasley twins who were discussing something while leaning onto each other for support when he trudged past them towards the Gryffindor portrait. Both of them had their eyes close, obviously depending on the other to lead the way, and both of them promptly crashed into the sofa that was nearest to them, tumbling onto it accompanied by muffled curses. Harry sighed. Where the heck does Oliver get his energy from? He silently sulked. The sun was beating down strongly even though it is only morning, yet Professor Dumbledore was unaffected. Sunlight was glowing brightly through the enormous windows facing the Hogwarts grounds. At the moment, he was enjoying a nice cup of tea, trying to unstuck his pile of sherbet lemon, a muggle sweet he is very fond of, which had melted and stuck together in the hot weather. With a breath of pleasure, he managed to unstuck one of the sweets and promptly popped it into his mouth. With that done, he started to think while sucking softly on the sweet. It seems Harry has inherited his father's Quidditch talent. He was watching the whole match with interest. Even so, the boy had given his fragile old heart a jump when he saw the boy fell of the broom. Professor Dumbledore frowned. He cannot afford to lose boy yet, especially not in such an ordinary way. He briefly considered banning the boy from playing Quidditch but swiftly dismissed the idea. He has no reason whatever to give as an explanation without revealing something important to anyone. For now, just leave it be. He will just have to watch the boy more carefully in the future. At that, Professor Dumbledore realized he has to act soon. It will do well for his plans to win the boy's trust. That definably could not be done overnight. It will take time and patience, and that is something the Professor Dumbledore has at the moment. Fawkes, who just woke up at his perch beside the window, stretched its head from under its wing and gave a melody's thrill in greeting to its master. Seeing the phoenix's joy in being basked in sunlight, Professor Dumbledore smiled faintly at Fawkes. It was then, the thought struck him. Professor Dumbledore's eyes twinkle in delight. Why not? No one would ever suspect a thing. With that, he looked out the window and started to enjoy the sunlight. Meanwhile, down at the Hogwarts in the Forbidden Forest, Hagrid was trudging slowly towards his heart. His face was etched with sorrow and disappointment. His loyal pet dog and companion, Fang, was following beside him in a slow and quiet pace, occasionally whimpering slightly as if it can sense its master's sorrow. In Hagrid's hand, he was holding a branch of silky soft silvery hairs. While Hagrid was grieving, Fangs was looking left and right nervously. Despite his fierce appearances and huge size, the dog is a coward and because of that, hates the Forbidden Forest. It is afraid of the creatures that lurked in the shadows. Their trail back to Hagrid's hut was easy. The injured unicorn that stumbled along the undergrowth had left an easy trail to follow, aided even more by the residue of dried unicorn blood that shimmered softly on the soft foliage here and there. Hagrid felt empty despair. Unicorns are one of the most pure and peaceful magical creatures that exist in the Forbidden Forest. Few magical creatures dared attack it, not only out of respect to their gentle nature and strong aura they give off, but also to the steady ivory horns at the top of their head. The horn infused with unicorn magic makes it almost as hard as diamond. Even Dragonhide will find it hard to not be pierced by a unicorn horn. Another thing is unicorns are able to run swiftly even while weaving through the trees without halting. Few creatures are able to match its speed. Yet, now, something was attacking the unicorns left and right. Unicorns are creatures of solitude and are easy prey if something strong enough is able to hunt them. Hagrid was worried. The numbers of unicorns are enough to prevent extinction at the moment. Unfortunately, this won't remain long if the hunting continues. Something must be done. There have already been at least 5 unicorns killed, with this new one the 5th. Whatever it is, it must be powerful and dark to be able to take down something so pure and powerful. Hagrid's eyes burned in anger. He has decided. He must report this to Professor Dumbledore. He will know what to do. At that, he has reached the forest edge. He can clearly see the Quidditch pitch from here. He frowned with puzzle when he saw some students flying around, practicing obviously, but were they trying to get sunstroke? The sun is shining brightly for crying out loud, and Hagrid was starting to miss the damp, cool feeling of the Forbidden Forest. Just then, a flash of gold was reflected and caught Hagrid's eyes. Hagrid chuckled. He knew who they were, and he has heard the rumors about the Gryffindor Quidditch captain. Blimey, he thought. It's about time Harry come down and visits him. It has been months since he has seen the boy. Hopefully Professor McGonagall is not too hard on him. He remembered the day he first entered her class with a fond smile. He was eager to please her and ended whacking some classmate on the head when he waved a little too vigorously. Just then, Fangs gave a loud whine. Alarmed, Hagrid looked at his dog. The dog's fur was bristling as if anger, yet it was trembling and cowering against the floor. Hagrid glanced in the direction Fangs was facing with apprehension. He waited and waited, yet nothing came out from the forest. Suddenly, a bird flew out of the tree not far away with a startled squawking. Hagrid lifted his pink umbrella from his overcoat and waited with bated breath. Nothing happened. After a while, Hagrid relaxed his grip on the umbrella. Whatever it was, it must be gone. He glanced back towards the Quidditch pitch before he headed in the direction of the castle. It was hot and humid. Hagrid wanted to get inside before he roasted. He hoped the castle elves have something cool and juicy in the kitchen. He needs a drink, especially if small parts of the pathway towards the castle are shimmering slightly. Quickly bursting into his staff room, Professor Quirrell shut the door with a bang before cancelling the disillusionment charm and sighed before wincing. His head was bursting. Master was not pleased with him. He can feel the waves of pain running through his mind. Professor Quirrell grabbed his head and held in his whimper. Scratch that. Master was furious. How dare you disobey my orders? Roared loudly throughout his mind. Professor Quirrell whimpered in fear. I am sorry, Master. A broken bar. The boy. A broken bar. He was too far. A broken bar. Silence. Professor Quirrell shuddered, his body trembling as he lay against the door. Suddenly, he felt excruciating pain searing through his mind. He cried out and grabbed his head tightly and slammed his head against the door before sliding it and crashing onto the floor. The pain got worse and he let out a choked scream and started thrashing on the floor, crushing his pounding head between his hands. It seemed to have lasted for hours before the pain suddenly cut off. Professor Quirrell gave a gasp and trembled silently, tears trickling down his cheeks as he grasped his aching head. He felt his master's presence violently shifting through his memories, wincing every time it was shoved away, earning him pain like how being slammed against a wall physically would feel like. Finally, it stopped. Professor Quirrell waited in terror as his master spoke. Pathetic fool, you could not carry out such a simple task. However, I have what I need for now. Continue gathering information. There are not many months left and we need to get it fast. Professor Quirrell gave a slight gasp when he felt his master stirred slightly and magic rushed through the air. Then, he felt the wind caressing his neck softly and shivered. Thanks to the unicorn's sacrifice, I once again have access to my magic, however weak it is. Now that I am back again, my plans should move faster. It is best you follow my orders, pet, before I start losing influence once again. Professor Quirrell nodded. Yes, Master, and shivered when his master's cruel laughter echoed throughout his mind.